Super dope. This is going to be a weird episode to make. Originally, it was just going to be a solo episode where I just kind of like vent out all the shit I got going on in regards to the news. But it looks like I'm going to have Rayshawn and GB joining me at a certain point later tonight. So that's going to be on the other side of this. Intro, preamble, I don't know how long it's going to be. It could be 5 minutes, could be fucking 40 minutes. I don't know how this is about to go. This is not the fucking thing I wanted to make. I never expected to have to make this. This is... So obviously, I'm talking about Toriyama, has passed away at the age of 68. And we are all hurting really, really bad. But like, it's been a weird week leading up to it. And like, I just kind of want to go through kind of what the last 7 days have looked like for me. So, this is Friday, March 8th. I'm recording this. I just got out of work. I needed to get this out before I start drinking. Last Friday, March 1st, I had a particularly bad day. I'm not going to get into like specifics as to why it sucked or whatever, but I had a real fucking bad day. And I just stayed home, called out of work, stayed home, and kind of just felt like a big sad piece of shit all day. And like, you guys know me, I like to play old video games all the time. I'm usually rocking my Super Nintendo. I had actually just gotten Hyper Dimension for Super Famicom delivered in the mail like the day before or something. I bought it on eBay the week before. I haven't played it in a long time. Figured, let's see if the shit holds up. It don't. Still fun to check in with though. So I played it for maybe an hour, and I was like, I don't know what it is, but I just want to go fly around the fucking Dragon Ball world right now. Let me load up Budokai 3, the remaster one for Xbox 360. Let me go fly around the Dragon universe, go fucking hunting for Dragon Balls and capsules and fight some motherfuckers, whatever, right? That was what I did for hours on Friday, March 1st. Don't know why. I haven't played that game in probably a few years. And I just had to, to like distract myself. Fly around the world of Dragon Ball and look for stupid fucking capsules and Dragon Balls or whatever. And like the whole time I'm thinking like, why are you even playing this? If you are playing it, shouldn't you be streaming it or something? Shouldn't you be trying to make some content out of it? And I kind of went back and forth on that for a few hours where I was like, nah, you're having a tough time. Just enjoy it. Just play it. Just relax, And I've played that shit pretty much every single night since then, including last night. I played for a few hours. So Thursday night, that was last night, the 7th, is when the news dropped about Toriyama having passed on March 1st. And I'm not saying it was a bad day yesterday or anything. It was a annoying fucking day, but I was beat. And at the end of it, I fell asleep pretty early. I was probably asleep by 8 o'clock last night. And I slept for probably about 3.5 hours. I woke up around 11:30 and I was like, fuck, I fell asleep. Not good. I gotta piss. So I went piss. And I looked at my phone and I had a million. Not a million, that's obviously an exaggeration, but I had a dozen probably messages, text messages through Instagram, Facebook, text, everything. And the ones in text were the ones I looked at, and it was from Rayshawn. And he said, hey, did you hear? And then the other one I got was from GB, and his said, did you hear about Akira Toriyama? And I'm sitting there, dick in my hand, taking a piss, and my heart just fucking dropped. I'm half asleep. And I didn't even say anything to either of them. I just opened up a Safari app on my phone, Googled Akira Toriyama, and there it was. New York Times headline, Akira Toriyama dead at age 68. And I was just like, okay. And it didn't really hit me. I mean, it registered, obviously. But I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say to anybody. And I just got back in bed and went to sleep. And when I woke up this morning, it still hadn't really sunk in. It still didn't feel real. And I was just scrolling through social media, looking at everyone's very nice tribute posts and pictures and shit. And then I woke up, I was like, you know, it's just, it almost felt dreamlike, I guess. But I don't know, I'm just like, it took a little bit to really set in and become real to me. And that's when I was like, I don't know, doom scrolling on all the apps, right? The apps I doom scroll between Facebook, Instagram, Threads sometimes, and my email, because I like do a lot of email because I'm an old person. I do the email. And it was like the third time I checked my email and I had a message and it said, I'm just going to read you the email verbatim, because this email is when it says, "A hug. Hey there. Like many that today are in their 30s, Dragon Ball made my early adolescence easier and more exciting. I've lost touch with it throughout the years, only played a few video games, and I just got back to it last Monday by restarting the anime and the very first OGDB episode. After binging for a bit, I found myself looking for podcasts about the topic and started listening to you in just the last couple of days. Today, the news that no one was expecting. I just wanted to say that I don't know you, and I've only known your voice and passion for a couple of days, but I understand how important Dragon Ball is and was for you, and how losing Tori might feel like losing someone close. You were the first person I thought of when I read the news. Stay strong, man. You're great." From M. M short for Mateo. Mateo, that shit hit me like a fucking really, to quote Queensryche, it started to hit me like a 2-ton heavy thing. It hit me like a fucking bag of bricks, man. Like my eyes just fucking poof, opened up when I read that email. And I don't know, I struggle with grief. Whether that is a person in my own life that I know personally and have a relationship with, or if it's like, you know, some far off fucking hero that I'm never going to meet or know personally, but I love and appreciate and respect the art they've put out into the world. Obviously, Akira Toriyama is in the second camp. I don't know the dude, but I feel like I do. You know, I feel like I'd said on Instagram, like, I thought my phone was so blown up when I woke up last night that I assumed a member of my family died, like one of my parents or like a grandparent or something. And, you know, unconventional member of the family, sure. But it still felt like I got news about losing a family member. And I don't know, I struggle with grief. Sometimes I feel guilty for feeling as strongly as I do when people die. Like friends I've had in the last few years who have died. I'm thinking of my friend Billy. I'm thinking of my friend George. People that I loved, but like wasn't particularly close with. I felt guilty when they died. Like, I didn't have, and I don't mean guilty in the sense of like, it's my fault they died. That's not it. I feel guilty in the sense that like, I feel guilty in the sense that like maybe I mourned too much. Like I was selfish in my mourning and made it about myself when it shouldn't have been about me, you know? And I think maybe that was like the kind of delay last night and this morning. When I got the news, I was like, it's not real. It's not hitting me. It doesn't feel real. It hasn't set in. I honestly think it was that guilt getting ahead of itself a little bit. Maybe it was like a protection thing too. You know, trying to protect me from feeling like a huge bag of shit for the foreseeable future about this. But I don't know. Reading Mateo's email, like, stupidly, it like almost gave me permission to grieve, I guess, like fully. I don't know. It sounds kind of dumb now that I said it out loud, but that's how I was thinking. I guess. I don't know what the fuck I'm thinking, man. I don't really have great words to sum up all the stuff this dude meant to me and all the stuff Dragon Ball means to me. I've made a Dragon Ball podcast for 6.5 years though, so hopefully you found some nuggets along the way that have helped you believe me with how much I like this stupid ass cartoon for 10-year-old children in Japan. I don't really have my words together, and I'm hopeful that maybe on the other side of this, talking with GB and Rayshawn, maybe I'll have some words. Also, I'll be drinking through it, so that'll maybe help. I did want to read, because there's been 1,000,001 tributes that have come out today, both from like every single fucking fan in the world. This has literally been like a funeral for the internet online. It's been really cool, I guess, to see everyone coming out with their tributes for the dude today. But there were two big mangaka that released their comments, and I don't think anybody's surprised that these dudes had something to say. I'm actually going to read you guys a handful of quotes. I was going to just read two from these mangaka, but there's a few other ones I wanted to read as well. I don't imagine I'm going to make GB and Rayshawn listen to these later on the other side while we're talking, so I saw these today, and if you didn't see them, I imagine you did, but if you didn't, I would want to share them with you. Jackie Chan reacted, and he just gave a quick little line. Akira Toriyama sensei, thank you for creating so many classics. They will always be with the world. Farewell. I'm going to probably do these in the order of like how long they are, okay? So this is in no way meant to like give ranking or priority to one or another. I say that because the next quote is from Masako Nozawa, the voice of Goku. It says here, Masako Nozawa-san has released her comment on Toriyama's passing. It says, I don't want to believe it. My head is empty because I don't want to think about it. Even so, every time I see Goku, I remember Toriyama-sensei said to me, you will take care of Goku, won't you? I cherish that moment. It makes me think I will stay by Goku's side until my strength runs out completely. Sensei, please watch over us from the heavens. We hope you depart in peace. That one was hard to read because the fucking basically this morning I put on SoundCloud and went to a playlist that me and Vape and Mike Norm made in like 2017 when we launched the show. And I've been listening to that on a loop all day. And the song, Hitorajani, okay? If you don't know what the fuck that is and can't envision it in your brain, I feel sorry for you. It's, I think, one of the better closing songs for Dragon Ball GT. The next one I wanted to read you guys real quick. It's from the creator of Dragon Quest, who Akira Toriyama did all the artwork and designs for. And, you know, I guess a lot of people think was like a very serious influence or maybe even precursor to Pokemon. So, of course, Akira Toriyama would figure out a fucking way to also inspire, you know, not only all battle shonen, but like also something like fucking Pokemon. This is from Yuji Horii, Dragon Quest creator, on Akira Toriyama's death. I am still in overwhelming disbelief at the news of Toriyama's sudden death. I have known Toriyama since I was a writer at Shonen Jump. When I started work on Dragon Quest, I asked him to do artwork for the game at the recommendation of the Shonen Jump publishing editor, Kazuhiko Torishima. In the 37 years since, Toriyama has designed characters, monsters, and created countless more charming characters for Dragon Quest. The history of Dragon Quest goes hand in hand with Toriyama's character designs. Toriyama and the late Dragon Quest composer Koichi Sugiyama were companions who worked on Dragon Quest with me for a long time. To think that they would die. I don't know what more to say. This is truly, truly unfortunate. I never played Dragon Quest myself, but I did just get done beating Chrono Trigger for the first time, like maybe 3 or 4 months ago. Again, all Toriyama creations, or I should say designs. The man really, like, if he worked on some shit, you know you were getting some fucking top-notch shit. And then there's 2 more I wanted to read for you. The first one is from Ichiro Oda, creator of One Piece. It says, "It's too early. The hole is too big. The thought of never seeing you again fills me with sadness. I've admired you so much since I was a child, and I even remember the day when you called me by name for the first time. I also miss the day when I had a great time with Mr. Kishimoto on the way home from the day when he used the word friend for us. I just want to say, guys, this is obviously translated from Japanese to English, so it might be a little bit rough, but yeah, I guess Toriyama called him a friend one day, and he thinks about that day all the time, as would fucking all of us. Back to the quote. I also remember the last conversation we had. He is one of the people who took the baton from an era when reading manga would make you stupid, and created an era where both adults and children read and enjoy manga. He showed us the dream that manga can do things like this and that we can go to the world. He gave it to me. It was like watching a hero push forward. The excitement he experienced when he serialized Dragon Ball is probably rooted in the childhoods of creators who are active in all industries, not just manga artists. That existence is a great tree. For manga artists in my generation who have stood on the same stage, the closer I got to Toriyama's work, the more I realized that they had a greater presence. They meaning Toriyama. Almost scary. But I'm just happy to see the easygoing man himself again. Because we love Toriyama Sensei on a blood level. I would like to express my respect and gratitude to the world of creativity left behind by Professor Toriyama and pray for his repose and peace. I hope that heaven will be a pleasant world just as you envisioned it. And then this is the one that really fucked me up. It's from Masashi Kishimoto. Probably saying his name improperly. You guys know me. I'm not a big Naruto guy. But he's the mangaka behind Naruto. This is the one that really... Honestly, this is what he says. Honestly, I don't know what to write or how to write about something so sudden. However, for now, I would like to express my thoughts and feelings to Toriyama Sensei, something I wish he would have asked me someday. I grew up with Dr. Slump in the lower grades of elementary school and Dragon Ball in the upper grades, and it was natural for me to have his manga next to me as part of my life. Even if I had a bad experience, watching Dragon Ball every week made me forget about it. It was a relief for me, a country boy who had nothing. Because Dragon Ball was really fun. It was when I was a university student. Suddenly, the Dragon Ball that had been part of my life for so many years ended. I felt an incredible sense of loss and didn't know what to look forward to. But at the same time, it was also an opportunity for me to truly understand the greatness of the teacher who created Dragon Ball. I also want to create work like yours. I want to be like my teacher. As I followed in my teacher's footsteps and aspired to become a manga artist, that feeling of loss began to disappear. Because making comics was fun, I was able to find new fun by following my teacher. My teacher has always been my guide. I admired it. I apologize for the inconvenience, but I would like to express my gratitude to the teacher. For me, he was the god of salvation and the god of manga. When we met for the first time, I was so nervous that I couldn't say a word. However, after meeting him many times at the Tezuka Prize screening committee, we became able to talk. As Dragon Ball children, I and Mr. Oda went back to being children again, and when we talked excitedly about how much Dragon Ball was fun, as if we were competing with each other, I forgot how he looked a little embarrassed and smiled at me. I can't. Again, rough kind of translation, guys, I realize, but him and Ichiro Oda one day were having a fucking fan off, and Masamoto won. All right? That's how I read that. I have just received the news of the death of my teacher. I feel an even greater sense of loss than when Dragon Ball ended. I still don't know how to deal with this hole in my heart. Now I can't even read my favorite Dragon Ball. I don't feel like I've been able to properly write this sentence that I want to convey to my teacher. Everyone around the world was still looking forward to seeing your work. If Dragon Ball's one wish really came true, I'm sorry. Maybe that's selfish, but it's sad, Sensei. Thank you, Akira Toriyama Sensei, for all your enjoyable works over the last 45 years, and thank you very much for your hard work. We are sure that the remaining family members are still deeply hurt. Please take care of yourself. I pray that Mr. Akira Toriyama rests in peace. Masashi Kishimoto. So I just wanted to read a few of those because I really am struggling to put into words my own kind of feelings. And I feel like the Kishimoto quote hit a few pieces for me. So I'll tell you, man, today's been a weird day. Like, celebrities die on the internet all the time. And, you know, people post about it. They share a picture of them and they're like, oh, no. And that's usually it. They're sad for a couple days and that's it. I just had one of these the other day with fucking Carl Weathers. I love Carl Weathers. Love Rocky 1 and 2. I loved him in The Mandalorian. I loved him on Arrested Development. Carl Weathers is like a staple in my... Oh, dude, Chubbs fucking Peterson from Happy Gilmore. Jesus fucking Christ, man. I was messed up when Carl Weathers died for a day. I was really like bumming sad. I think a lot of people were, and I think they just share a meme or they share a photo and they grieve a little bit and they just kind of move on. Today for Akira Toriyama was not that. Not that at all. I'm like genuinely surprised and like endeared, I guess. Is endeared the word? I don't fucking know what the word is, but I'm just happy, I guess, that so many media outlets around the world, it's not just news in Japan. Like, it's been reported by every major news outlet here in the States, and Latin America obviously isn't going to be an eternal mourning. I saw a meme today of Jesus. The meme said, how many people are talking to their tattoo artist about getting this tattooed on them right now? And it's a picture of Jesus with the Mexican flag in the background. And he is obviously super jacked like a Dragon Ball Z character, but he's holding Goku's dead, lifeless body, you know? Bet you a few people are getting that tattooed on them. This has gone a little bit longer than I wanted. But it was cool to, you know, see everybody pay their tributes and pay their respects and kind of tell everyone what he meant to them. And like have them actually mean it. You know, not just say it to have something to share on social media. It's because they're deeply saddened and impacted by the sudden loss. I don't know. I imagine a lot of what the story or the conversation is going to be with Rayshawn and GB on the other side. I don't know how those guys are feeling. I imagine they're feeling sad at a minimum, but I don't know if they're fucking crying all day like me. So I imagine a lot of the conversation will be like, what does Dragon Ball do next? And that's fine. And that's like a thing to wonder about, you know, but I didn't want this episode to just be that. I wanted to, you know, say thank you and pay respects and all that. I will tell you though, before I wrap it up and go to the conversation with the boys, Akira Toriyama is like the master fucking troll, dog. He is the funniest. Gotta get used to saying was. He was one of the funniest motherfuckers. Some of his favorite jokes that he played on me personally, and I guess all of us as a whole, I can't just make this about me, right? Grief stuff. Three funniest fucking jokes I think he's played that like wasn't written on the page, right? Number one, 2023 being his last year doing manga as a whole, and he took the fucking year off to give us the superhero retelling. That's fucking funny. Now that he's dead, that's fucking hilarious. And he chose to work on the Sandland anime and video game instead. That's like a double kind of whammy joke. Sandland, by the way, it's going to be fucking huge now. It drops December. It drops March 20th on Disney Plus. So that's less than 2 weeks away. People were already going to watch that. It's going to be fucking huge now that he just passed away. It's going to be a big deal. So get ready for that at March 20th. That'll be on Disney Plus in America. So that's cool. But the other last final joke, 1 month. He died 1 month before he made it to age 69. That's pretty fucking funny. It's like he planned it. That's all I'm getting to today. Just making stupid dark jokes like that to try to make myself feel a little bit better. So I wish I did a better job at this, but I don't have it in me. So let's go to the liquor store, and we'll talk with GB and Ray Sean on the other side. Super dope. Here's the thing with this podcast, boys. Super dope. I don't really know what to do right now. There was this long 25-minute preamble at the beginning of the show of me telling a weird story about how my life has sucked dick for the last 7 days and was capped off by this weirdly. It started on the same day as Toriyama's death. I'm more than happy to tell you that story, but I don't want to repeat it right now. I want to get your guys' thoughts on some stuff. I'm joined by Rayshawn and GB. GB, are we supposed to call you Leonard now, or are you still GB? What's the deal?
You can call me whatever you want. It don't matter.
Fucking hate that answer. Should I call you GB or Leonard?
Leonard.
Oh, shit. We're going back to Leonard. All right, man. I'm probably just going to fucking, what's that word? Go back and forth between? Vacillate? Yeah. I'll vacillate. Although I'm not sure if vacillate is the right word
that
either.
Sounds like Vaseline.
Vaseline. No, it's not.
Makes you think about Ice Cube.
No, what's that thing that fans do? Either way, who cares? Listen, GB, you first. We haven't talked to you in a bit. It's kind of a big question that I don't really have any kind of direction for. So, Akira Toriyama has died of a subdural hematoma. For people who don't know what that is, it's like a layer of blood in the brain, and it's apparently a big medical condition. I think it's the same way Bob Saget died. He's gone. How do you feel? What's going on in your brain? What's grieve?
Man, so when I saw the news, I just couldn't believe it. I literally, like, my friend, one of my friends that we talk about Dragon Ball all the time, he hit me up and he's just like, no way. And I didn't even believe it for a second because I was like, social media, they do this all the time where they say, oh, someone's dead, and they just do it to get likes and clickbait and whatever. And then, like, I saw literally on my feed a bunch of shit, and then I went to Twitter because I was like, okay, Twitter gonna confirm this. I'm not calling it X because fuck Elon Musk.
100%. We don't call that shit X. We call it Twitter till the day he eventually runs it out of business. Continue.
Exactly. So I just couldn't believe it, and I was, man, it like threw me through a little loop real quick because it reminded me of the first time that I actually watched Dragon Ball. Believe it or not, it was not in the US, it was in Barbados, and it was the episode when they were on Namek and Krillin died. Krillin blew up, and that was like when I was little, was not able to watch Dragon Ball. My parents thought it was too violent, all that stuff, whatever. And I remember watching it, and I was just like, this looks so cool. And of course, now being at the age that I am, and thoroughly enjoying it, being on a podcast, playing like all these Dragon Ball games and things like that, it definitely, to say that Akira Toriyama had a substantial impact on not just like a lot of people's lives, like a lot of people's careers too. Like there's a lot of YouTubers, Rhyme Style, Nanogenics, if you know them, C-Reacts, a lot of YouTubers in general that are in the Dragon Ball community that made their career basically off of Dragon Ball. Without Akira Toriyama, they wouldn't have the careers that they had now. And even like animes like One Piece, Naruto, which by the way, both of the mangakas have written letters about it, which I
actually read the comments of those Ichiro Oda and I'm really sorry, Masashi Kishimoto.
Yep, Kishimoto.
Yep, Kishimoto. I actually read those quotes in the first 25 minutes of the show. I read quotes from those two, Jackie Chan, Masako Nozawa, and one other person that I'm not thinking of right now because I apparently am a piece of shit and have terrible short-term memory. But, dude, yeah, the one from Kishimoto, like I literally almost started crying as I was reading it. It was for somebody who didn't, something like he said something to the effect of like for a young boy who didn't have anything, living out in the country, lonely. And I was just like, whoa, that's my childhood by myself all the time, watching Dragon Ball alone. Like, oh my God, dude, I almost, yeah, dude. Rayshawn, my friend, how are you feeling?
Man, this news hit me kind of hard last night. Because I didn't believe it when I first seen it, because kind of going what GB was saying, I just seen like one random post, and the thing that got to me was like it was just nothing. Like you didn't know anything about Toriyama, you didn't know anything like he was sick or he was in the hospital or anything. So just for it to flat out come out like that, you're like, this got to be a hoax. Like why they want to kill off the like Dragon Ball creator for no reason? But then once I basically realized that it was real and everything, it made me really sit back and think like, motherfuckers die every day, B. You know what I mean? It don't really matter. Like it don't.
Famous Rayshawn Gatson quote: "People die every day." B. You're right though. Literally anybody at any time.
And then you and for the like his work to inspire so many people is just amazing, and it really shows for those people out there. If you got dreams and want to do something, you need to do it because you never know when you're gonna die. Because I'm pretty sure he didn't think he was going to die for the amount of more projects that he had coming still. So the fact that I just feel like I'm in limbo, I feel like I don't know what's going to happen with Dragon Ball. Because in my lifetime, how I've watched Dragon Ball's sort of always kind of been on TV. I'm not going to say it's always been new iterations or new story all the time, but we're in the like part right now where there is new story. And I just hate to think that there is most likely in the near future going to be a point where it's over. Like there's not going to be any more continuation of the story or anything. But that's just my opinion on it because how I feel about it. Like if I created Dragon Ball, I probably would be okay with for you to end Super. I probably would have gave you enough notes for that. But to do something more than that would be like you need to title that's your version of Dragon Ball. That don't put my name on that bitch no more.
Yeah.
But that's basically just how I feel. I feel hurt about it. It's one of my number one animes. I saw it was the first anime I started off watching. I've told the story before. I watched it at my aunt's house. I was on cable. I basically ran up her cable bill because I watched literally like 30 episodes in one day. Because I've literally never had seen the show before.
Were you ordering them on demand?
Yes, I did not know I was ordering them. I thought they were free. But I remember my aunt kept walking in there and she was like, is it a marathon going in? And I just kept saying, yeah. And I just kept clicking them.
You had no idea.
I didn't have no idea. The show was amazing. And I remember for like 2 or 3 years after that, I couldn't remember what the show was called. Then I got into Toonami and all that other stuff and watched Dragon Ball Z Kai. And it's crazy how your work is good when they've like re-alterized it so many different times for different generations. And like the games, it's the same story like, from each game. So it's like, it's amazing. I like that he gets to go out like an OG, and it feels like he's an OG because the amount of people I've seen tweet about him, from famous people, from like basketball, from rappers, from just people I just didn't think would actually say something or take the moment, and it just show you that a lot of people have watched Dragon Ball and it's been a part of all our lives. Probably the number one anime in that retrospect.
Yeah. All right, so you you guys just shared your Dragon Ball origin stories to an extent, right? Like an abbreviated version of them. I've done mine on this show several different times throughout the years. 6.5 years now, boys. 6.5 years for this stupid fucking show.
I got a question for you.
What's
that? Because I've been thinking about that. So like all you like people who have like podcasts and stuff like YouTube channels focus directly on Dragon Ball. Does this like hurt your content?
In the short term, no, it's good for your content. Morbid as that sounds, and I don't care because I don't really get views on my YouTube stuff. We're primarily an audio medium, but I imagine it'll be good for audio as well. People will be Googling Akira Toriyama and putting his name into YouTube a lot over the next couple of weeks as they go through their grieving process, 100%. And I imagine some new eyes at a minimum will find this episode of the show. If that's you, what's up? We were talking specifically about you. Isn't that cool? Please like the video and subscribe on YouTube. But
don't forget to hit the bell notification button.
Notification bell and all that shit.
I got you.
Yeah, as morbid as it sounds, right? Yeah, in the short term, it definitely draws it draws more eyes because as people like work through their grieving process or whatever. And the long term, man, it really does depend because I don't want to get to this part of the conversation yet. I still want to talk about my Dragon Ball origin story, but I think, and I said this in the little intro preamble, right? What I didn't want this episode to be talking with you guys, because it's one thing for me to sit down in front of a mic and fucking monologue about how I feel for 25 minutes, which is what I did. It's another thing to sit down with you guys and have a conversation about A, how we feel about it, B, what it means, C, what it eventually leads to, which I imagine we'll get to at the end of this conversation. What does the future of Dragon Ball look like? And so much of that conversation, I did not want it to be about what do we do now? I really just wanted to be more of a conversation about grieving and fucking rightfully being sad and trying to work through this. And I mean, 68 isn't that real. It's not really that old. Like,
It's very
really
young.
Yeah. For a dude of his sort of resources and wealth and status in Japan, he could have gotten help to fix this if he'd wanted to. He seems like a dude who didn't always take the best care of himself. And I think you could find, versions of that throughout his career based off of things he's publicly said about his own like workflow and things like that. But
Especially with mangakas in general. Like
yeah.
Dude from Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, he's sick. A lot of them, even Black Clover, he had to stop doing his manga and basically make it every like 4 months or 5 months.
Yeah, make it like quarterly or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll give a brief version of my origin story with Dragon Ball. So my origin story in my brain is that when I was like 5 or 6 years old, I woke up very early one morning. I'm talking like 5:30, 6 o'clock, turn on the TV. Some UPN fucking affiliate or whatever has Saturday morning probably Saturday morning cartoons, whatever. And it's the first episode of Dragon Ball. And actually, no, it's not the first episode of Dragon Ball. I'm fucking up my own story because I've been drinking for 2 hours now trying to grieve. It's the 13th episode of Dragon Ball, which is the episode where they finally assemble all the Dragon Balls, grant the wish. Goku's Zoro busting out of Pilaf's castle and that little chamber he had them trapped in. They make the wish. Oolong wishes for panties. It's that episode, whatever number that is. I think it's 13. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? This is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't know what's up with the giant monkey. I don't know why that guy wished for underwear. That's kind of weird. He's a talking pig. Also, that's a whole other thing. This dragon just granted a wish. That means what? You could grant any wish. He just made panties appear. Like, I was automatically hooked by that episode, and I have been a Dragon Ball fan ever since. Now, if you've been a longtime fan of the show, you would know that a few pre-COVID, so probably like 5 years ago, me and my dad and my uncle Julius got together and we did an episode together about my Dragon Ball origin story or whatever. And according to them, I've been watching Dragon Ball since the ripe old age of 2 years old, when my uncle Julius used to bring back bootleg fan subs from New York City. He'd take the train there, go there for a couple days, stay with our friend Todd Robinson, buy like a bunch of bootleg tapes with 4 episodes apiece, $25 each. And he'd come back with a duffel bag full, like fucking 30 tapes of shit. And they would just binge watch Dragon Ball for hours and hours and hours and hours. And I was a baby, I guess, didn't really have much say in the matter or much memory of it. I apparently watched that with them at that point in time. So I don't know. I say all of that because I've always felt like Dragon Ball was a thing that I discovered when I was a kid and then brought it to my dad. And he was like, oh, yeah, I know about this. My friends like this. Let's watch it together. In reality, I guess I was watching it in diapers and had no recollection of it, no idea of it. My point is, it's always been a thing in my life. And it's just, it's really weird to think that the dude who has made one of the most expansive, most interesting worlds, fictional worlds to me as an author, it's just weird that we don't have him around anymore. Like, even after Dragon Ball ended when I was a kid and I finished watching GT on these bootleg fan subs that I have in a fucking pile right here. My VCR is broken right now. I'm actually really upset about that as well. I cannot watch these fan subs. I've been trying to do a project with for the past few fucking weeks, but even when Dragon Ball initially ended, and I watched Goku go off with the dragon, episode 64 of GT, and that sadness and those tears that I wept as like a fucking 10-year-old child, 11-year-old child, whatever it was, when I watched it, that feels different and distant and But I don't know. Different, but somehow similar. This too feels like an ending to Dragon Ball to me, even if, and they probably will, continue to make this manga and then the anime and the movies. I promise you they'll continue with this property at least in the short term. And by short term, I mean probably the next 2 to 3 years. After that, I don't really know. Could be done. But the news today feels like that final nail in the coffin is not the right word, but it does feel like the inevitable thing to kind of put this thing to rest. Although I could be wrong and they could just be corporate whores. Like, capitalism is not a thing exclusive to America. And we did an episode a couple of years back. I really fucking wish I remembered the episode name. I can't. It might have been something like Toei's Money or something like that. I don't know. We went through like a lot of different financial charts in like 2018, 2019, and talked about the profitability of Dragon Ball. And more recently, in addition to that argument, you have a dude. I can't remember his name right now because I have a terrible memory, but one of the prime Akio Ioku, that's his name. You have a guy like Akio Ioku who's been a executive producer on Dragon Ball for so long, and who just launched his thing, his his Capsule Corp Tokyo company, who's going to be responsible for the animation for Dragon Ball Daima. With a dude like that, and just Toei in general, Bandai wanting to secure those fucking merchandising rights for the rest of as long as they can. Even though copyright law is a much more stringent, difficult thing to kind of be to try to litigate in Japan. And by that I mean the rights for an intellectual property, they almost always in some regard remain with the original author. No matter what the fuck you do, Toriyama is still going to have some right to that. So now that moves to his estate. There were reports a few years ago about him trying to get his son Sasuke Toriyama a little bit more involved in the family business. And like maybe, and I said this to you on the phone when we talked this afternoon, Rayshawn. Rayshawn gave me a call when I was on my lunch break today. And thank God he was the first person I talked to all day that wasn't somebody who was looking for a therapy or a psychiatry appointment. So that was nice. I told him, Sasuke Toriyama is somebody that they've considered to try to groom, which I hate that word because of Republicans, and stuff. But that they were going to try to groom to like take over the family business and kind of give like the big picture idea of where Dragon Ball goes. And then maybe you trust creatives like Ioku, Toyotaro to kind of carry out the vision. I don't know what's going to happen, man. But today definitely felt like, or last night or whatever. I said it. I told you guys this already. Did I say it here? I woke up at 11:30 from fucking text messages to you two and a bunch of fucking Instagram and Facebook messages. Rayshawn said, "Did you hear the news?" GB said, "Did you hear about Akira Toriyama?" And then I Googled it, and it said the first thing that popped up in the fucking headline was New York Times, Akira Toriyama dead at 68. And I was like, "Oh, it's real. I'm gonna go back to bed." Because I couldn't process it. I was just too much for my brain. I just shut back down and went to bed. Finished taking a piss. Thankfully, I had to pee real bad. It's been what a weird fucking time, guys. Could somebody else talk for a minute? Who wants to talk?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, GB.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just something big. I'll just share this real quick. Dragon Ball really did, and I'll just say Akira Toriyama really did bring, whether it's the knuckleheads who believe in Vic Mignogna or Vic whatever the fuck his name is or whoever.
I just want to hit pause. Don't talk about him today, dude. This today of all days.
In general, just like bringing the community at least together for one single thing. Like, I mean, yes, we all have our opinions on Dragon Ball, whatever, cool. But Akira Toriyama really did bring something to all of us. And it was, whether you experience it as a child, as a baby, as an adult, as a teenager, whatever it may be, it brings back a memory. And with that in general, it brought a lot of us together. I mean, shoot. I was on another podcast and my podcast mate, Katie, said, "Hey, there's some cool people talking about Dragon Ball. We should try to team up with them." and I went listening to the podcast.
Was she talking about me? Because I know Katie.
The
She's
Dragon
cool.
Ball Super Dope podcast.
Oh, is this how we originally met? Is this what you're talking about? Our origin story as friends now?
Yes.
Oh, that's fucking adorable.
And we were like, I was like, fuck yeah, dude, I fucking love this, because I was telling all of them to watch something else. But we ended up doing the show, and Kyle and I just like really hit it off, because again, one of the things I did was, and this is the craziest thing, this is how devoted I was to podcasting and Dragon Ball in general, I read all the super chapters within 24 hours.
It was ridiculous. At that point in time, it was probably like 60 or 70 chapters. He took care of it in like 24 hours just to catch up. Like, you could have.
That's not a lot.
Dude, 60 to 70 chapters.
I do that every day.
Times 45 pages per chapter. Who wants to get their calculator out?
I'm telling you, I do that every day.
You read 60 or 70 manga chapters every day.
Well, I'm not say every day, but I knocked that out when I need
meet in the middle. Let's meet in the middle and say 65 chapters of Dragon Ball Super at 45 pages a piece each month. That
actually
is
60 chapters seem kind of low for 24 hours.
65 chapters, 24 hours. Guess how many pages?
45, 50?
45 pages a chapter. Times that by 60, dog. What the fuck? That's the math I'm doing.
That still seems kind of low to me.
2,925 pages of comic books is what he read in those 24 hours. Don't talk to me about that not being impressive. That's ridiculous. You should be fucking institutionalized for that.
I didn't say it wasn't impressive. I'm just saying that
you said it was kind of low. What do you mean it's not impressive?
It is kind of low, because it seemed like he was able to do what, 2 chapters maybe every hour. Like, I'm not trying to like call you out or anything. I'm just saying, like,
you're trying to call out math is what you're doing right now. Christ, just respect the math, bro.
I'm not trying to disrespect you, GB, because that is a feat to get on the podcast and then get all caught up.
I mean, he was going to come on it anyway. He didn't have to read 60 chapters. He could have faked it and read the last like 10 and been fine. But dude was committed, so.
Yeah, it just like, again, just the devotion that I put towards that, and to be on this podcast, because first of all, I don't want to sound like a dumbass. That's the main thing. But also because I really loved this series. Like, I didn't get to enjoy it as much as a kid because background, but to be able to enjoy it now,
Caribbean.
Well, no, it's just my parents.
Barbados.
Barbados, yes.
Is that in the Caribbean or the Caribbean?
Yes, it's in the Caribbean. You can say Caribbean, whichever one.
I'm literally just asking you to decide for me on which way I'm supposed to fucking say it, because you're Caribbean. Word. All right, thank you. Definitive final answer.
Also call me Bajan.
Bajan?
Yep, that's the short version of Barbados. I don't know why they made it that way, but they did. Just think about Cajun, but instead of the U at the end, it's an A and a B at the beginning.
I'm just going to call you Leonard or GB.
Cool. Good enough. So, being on that episode and then switching over to the Dragon Ball Super Dope episode, which, fun fact, I think we recorded both of them back to back.
We did. Yeah, I did an episode on the NPC pod, and then I think you guys jumped on my show or vice versa. Yeah. I forget. Probably you guys jumped on my show because I would have drank through all of your show, and I was like, you don't want me that drunk on your show. Let's do mine second.
Right. So we did, what was it? Maybe like a 3 to 4 hour session.
It was not that long. I would never put out a podcast that long by myself.
Yeah,
never mind with people that I just met for the first
2
time.
hours then. That might have been 2 hours.
Yeah, it was probably a good show. I'm gonna, you know what, we're talking a lot about
4 hours.
No way, Jose. I mean, it was probably 3 to 4 hours at the end of both episodes being recorded. So yeah, I guess you're probably right with saying that, GB. All right, that's our Dragon Ball. See, I want to shout out to Marcus in the Discord, Marcus Woods, member of the Patreon. If you're not on the Patreon, there's a good opportunity for you because you might be listening to this for free right now on the Patreon unedited. If that's the case, consider supporting us. $5 a month. We have like a couple hundred extra premium content pieces, whatever. But I want to shout out Marcus, who's been a longtime supporter and friend of the show. He just said something in the Discord today that was like, thanks to this dude, you know, Toriyama, you know, rip, RIP, but like, thanks for him bringing such a community together. And like, you know, he met the Super Dope community specifically, and that gang of dudes who are always talking shit about Dragon Ball in the Discord server. he meant like that, but I mean, you can take a look at that from like a larger perspective and have it be about just bringing people together as fans of the community in general throughout the world. And yeah, I wanted to just shout Marcus out because that's how I feel about people I've met through making the show, including listeners, but also including hosts like you guys, GB, who just shared the origin story of us coming on, and Rayshawn. I mean, I talk about our origin story all the time, but do you want to tell it from your perspective so that way you can give the the fair perspective? Because I'm very unfair.
Okay. If I'm remembering it correctly,
I don't think you will be, but go ahead.
All right. This all started probably about 2 years ago. I decided to create an anime podcast. I had just started getting on Instagram. I was trying to reach out and collaborate with people. I had reached out to someone named Anime Gensho, and he
Anime Gensho, shout out. You're a big part of our origin story.
that yes, because me and him had a conversation, and I thought we were like collabing on a podcast, but that wasn't necessarily what we were doing. We were just like doing collabs on each other podcasts, which I had a misinterpretation. I had went on this website where you can meet different podcasters, like anime podcasters, and I was sending emails out, and I remember seeing Dragon Ball Z one, and I was like, oh, that'd be cool. I know about Dragon Ball. I like to talk about it. I will say this is the interesting thing. I did not listen to the podcast beforehand.
Oh my God.
I just had the instincts that it was Dragon Ball. I would most likely like it. So I just kind of went with that like interpretation. It was funny because I think Kyle hit me back pretty quickly, like to reach out, but I think he hit Anime Gensho. I reached out to him with a message with me and Anime Gensho in the message, and I think he reached out to Anime Gensho. Anime Gensho was like, "No, we ain't doing no damn pod. What the fuck he talking about?" And then then he had reached back up to me. He was like, "I don't know what's going on," basically. But then after we got that situation like figured out and situated, we basically did a podcast. I can't remember what our first one was about. I think it was probably like an interview, probably talking about origin stories and stuff like that, I'm thinking. But
I have no idea what your first episode was on this podcast. Zero fucking idea too.
Like I can't think either. But we've done so many episodes since then. I don't know if it was our first pod where we just hit off or if it was a few after that. I know we did a lot, but after a while we just kept one pod.
It just becomes a blur, and then we launched Advice Pod season 3 starting soon. I was gonna have it start this Monday. I'm really not sure if that's gonna work now because I've been fucking crying for a day, but we'll see. Maybe if not the Monday after, we'll see. My point is, you're right. You mentioned Anime Gensho in that initial email to me, and I was like, bro, fuck this stupid website. I never checked this website. You just happened to catch me on a day where I saw that I had an email from it. I logged in, checked it out. I'm like, I'll just look these dudes up on Instagram. Let's see. I see them on Instagram. I send a DM to Anime Gensho. He's like, Rayshawn said he's a host on my show. I was like, I don't know. Am I misunderstanding the situation? I don't fucking know. And I just didn't like his tone. Honestly. So then I hit you up back through the thing, and I'm like, yo, fuck that Anime Gensho guy. And I still kind of mean that. Even if he hears this, sorry, man. We can make nice at some point in time, I'm sure. But I just remember thinking, like, what a fucking weird, rude way to, like, kind of run your fucking friend out the fucking picture and be like, who does he think he is? And I was like, all right, fuck you. Because you just acted the way you did, I'm going to make sure I get in touch with this kid. And I'm going to make sure he comes on my fucking podcast. And he did. And now we're here.
Yep. And I cannot tell you like what that first episode was. Like I know we done manga reviews and all stuff like that. He's been on my podcast. We just hit. I don't know if it was the first podcast though. I don't remember.
I do.
You remember what podcast?
Because I don't remember what it was, but I do remember the feeling coming away from it where I was like, that kid was fucking great. I don't know why that Anime Gensho kid was such an asshole about him like saying that he was a host on his show or whatever. Fuck him. I'm going to make sure I invite him back. I feel like that just went well. And again, here we are like probably 3.5 years later.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a while. GB, I just met like maybe the year before. I've known GB for fucking going on half a decade now. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting old, guys. Well, I'm getting older. You guys are
Man,
still
that's
in your puppy
crazy.
youth.
My
What I
podcast
wanted-
friends lasting longer than my real friends.
I mean,
What I
Rayshawn
wanted
came
to
out to
say-
visit me and all. We're gonna making plans for later this year too. So
Yeah, that to me, that was the most surprising thing. I think out of my whole family, like when I told them I was actually going up to come visit you and everything, they was like, "What the fuck? You meeting internet people?"
they were like, Rayshawn, are you trying to tell us you're going for a gay sex thing with some guy you met on the internet? They're like, no, man, we just really both love Dragon Ball and smoking weed. We understand it's kind of a weird way to make, forge new friendships in 2023 or 2020, whatever year, 21, maybe it was 21. I don't remember, but I don't know. I think people thought it was weird that I told them, my buddy from Ohio is coming to visit. Oh, how do you know him? We make podcasts together. Oh, did he used to live around here? No, man, I met him on the internet. Oh, okay. Yeah, he's a 6 foot tall black dude. And they're like, oh, wow, we're very white around these parts. Rayshawn and me were sitting at fucking breakfast one day, and he goes, man, I'll give you $50 fucking dollars if a black person walks through that door. But he's right, dude. It's like literally 96.8 fucking percent white in my fucking towns. It's so white here. It's so white.
It was interesting. I'll say that. But it was fun though. That was the first time I actually got to do something like that in a while, to take a trip and do that. So I had fun doing it. So I would do it again. But it took me a minute to be able to really accept it, because I think we had planned for it to do it in March, but I was like still thinking about it. I don't know what it was. I didn't know.
I know what it was, man. It was money. March, for whatever reason, the week we were talking about, it was super expensive to fly that week for some reason. And then we were like, let's look at 420. And then you came out for 420, and we just got high for a weekend, and that was awesome.
Yeah. And that's when he put me on it's not Shake. What was that called? Trim?
Like pre-ground? I mean, yeah, it's like pre-ground and Shake.
Yeah. And that
Not
hit
quite
me on
trim,
that.
but yeah, I mean, the place that I go to buy weed, they sell 14 grams for like 60, $70, but it's like pre-ground Shake shit.
That's what's crazy now? Because where I am, they sell that stuff for like $15.
For that much though?
An ounce.
An ounce?
Yeah, I got one like an ounce of Shake right here. $15.
How stick is it? Is there like a lot of fucking twigs and fucking stems and seeds?
It's kind of more like powder. I don't see a lot of sticks in it. So that's why I thought it was different from
$15, man. Maybe I should come visit you this year.
Oh, that would be cool.
We'll get fucking high as hell. All right, we're getting off the track. You know what though? I'm happy that we did, because it was nice to enjoy some fucking brevity about how, we all know each other, how we all met, how we all started working, how Dragon Ball brings the people together as a community in general, and why? Because of Akira Toriyama. Do either of you dudes have something you want to say before we move on to the inevitable part of the conversation? That part of it being, to quote Buffy the Vampire Slayer, season 6, episode, I'll guess 7. I could be wrong on the episode count. Once more with feeling. All right. To quote Buffy the musical, where do we go from here? Before we get to that part, is there anything else that you dudes want to say?
I just want to say this. Instead of, because it took me a second, I was sad, but after everyone dies and you get to the funeral process, you got to remember to celebrate their life and everything that they did accomplish and everything. So taking the moment to just sit back and realize that this man actually did create something that is worldwidely loved. Like, people know about it. It's probably one of the most referenced animes in the world. And to be able to go away in that style, to me, is amazing. And the fact that this man is always going to be in the history books. So his name will never be forgotten. And that's something that I aspire to be able to do.
To be that influential
to be
in the world.
To be just written in a book, like in a history book. Because I always feel like death can almost make death. Like, you're only forgotten when people don't remember who you are. You know what I mean? You are still alive if your name is still out there.
The quote
That's
is
just how
The quote was something like, "You die twice. You die on the day you die, and you die on the day somebody last speaks your name, like when you're finally forgotten from the mortal coil."
So that's my main. I don't never really want to be forgotten. That's more of a insecurity type of thing. Sorry.
Yeah, I understand that though. You want to feel like you contributed, feel like you did something worthwhile instead of just living the fucking mediocre life of mediocrity. You know what I mean? Mediocre life of mediocrity should be the name of a band or maybe a movie. I don't really know. GB, you have anything else that you want to say before we move on to the fucking future of what we do?
Yeah, definitely. What I want to say is thank you, Akira Toriyama, so much just for making your dream and vision come true, and just in general, like allowing me to meet these two guys that that are like my best friends. I would say definitely, like we can definitely talk about Dragon Ball.
Oh, bro, I'll be your best friend. Yeah, hell yeah, we're Dragon Ball best friends.
And shout out again also to people who aren't here but have been on the episodes before. Miris, Marcus, aka Miris, Jace, aka Reese, and
yo, did you guys? Sure... You guys aren't in the Discord, huh?
I am in the Discord. I haven't really chat too much.
Okay, so I'm kind of wishing that you were like active members of the Discord today, because Reese had a run-in with the law last night. I think maybe his friend got into a fight at a bar after somebody said some shit about him, beat the shit out of him, got arrested. Reese ran away from the cops. He's talking all about it in the Discord today. But like Reese is in Australia, so he's 14 hours ahead of us. So like he's dead fucking pissed drunk at like 4 a.m. texting us this shit. And it's like, 7 p.m. here or whatever it is. And we're just like, wow, man, what's going on? Are you okay? Why are you running from the cops?
Oh my God.
We love you, Reese. We're glad that you're okay, man.
We love you. And also I want to say too, a big thing, also thankful for me and my friend Hayden. Our friend
Dokkan Wen. I just had him on the last couple episodes, man. I love that motherfucker. Go check out his new channel on YouTube, Games and Gamers. He does not spell it with a Y, in case you were wondering.
He is you guys have been like an amazing group of friends. Like literally when there was just a long story short, I was just going through like dark times because adulthood, but to like actually have some friends that like I could just forget about all life's problems, talk about Dragon Ball shit, laugh at each other, poke fun at each other, watch Kyle rant about something.
But bro, you should have heard me rant about fucking LED headlights the other day. Rayshawn, I went on that rant about LED headlights, bro.
We could talk about that.
My fucking soul left my body, and 2.5 minutes later, it returned, and I was like, holy shit, I forgot to breathe that whole time. I was so fucking mad, dude.
Bro, we could talk
about the advice pod?
Yes, dude. I did a rant on the advice pod the other day. It'll be out in a few weeks. I was just like, I like had fucking suggestions for Congress to enact action on how to fucking reduce my irritation. It was a wild time, man.
I'm looking at your Discord or what Reese was posting and stuff. It's kind of fun. Yeah, it sounded like he had a little fun night. He was
it sounded like he was running from the cops. And when the cops stopped chasing him, he showed up to the fucking cop store, where the fuck he said something like literally the cop shop or some shit like that to fucking bail his friend out. You know why this conversation's happening today, guys?
Because of Akira Toriyama.
You're goddamn right, because of Akira Toriyama.
That's funny. I would just say, I think how they did it is one of the smoothest non-leak things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
I don't know how the hell that like how it happened, like how he can go to the hospital, the people in the hospital nobody like get a tweet like who's in here, who like he dies, nothing. They take his body, funeral, nothing.
Well,
they like,
fair,
we should tell them
Japan
now.
Is very different with that sort of thing too. And also just something I'll throw out there, completely different, but just to give you an example, back in the 80s, there was a diss track about Michael Jackson.
From Japan?
No, not from Japan, but just to give you like a
who made it
story.
Me
His
and
brother.
Rayshawn love Michael Jackson. Wait, Tito
His brother,
Jackson?
Jermaine
Yeah.
Jackson wrote it. It was
Get
called
outta here.
Who's Bad. You can look it
Yeah.
up on YouTube. I listened
Him and
to
his
the
brother
whole thing.
they did have
So,
beef for a while.
Huh.
He put that shit out. Michael was so fast to be like, "Oh no, you don't." So, not saying like that. That's how Akira Toriyama is, but it's just like money can control a lot of these things. And not saying that like Akira is just like very much like that, but from what you can just tell, he's a very like, I like to keep my stuff personal, and I like to keep my work and home life completely different.
You're underselling the way Toriyama feels about that exact situation, honestly.
What I think it also comes down to just a respect level too, because it's just the fact that because I feel like this could have been any person in the United States that's popular, and that stuff would have probably been leaked. They literally like
within hours.
You know what I mean? Like we literally wait till the man was in the ground. They were ready to make their statement. Then we knew. Like,
yeah,
literally, they could have had this manga chapter come out and told us next month.
Yeah.
No one would have known. Like, that's how crazy it is.
I kind of have like a related story, and I kind of hinted at it before. I talked about it in the first 25 minutes of the show, so people have already heard it at this point. But I want to talk to you guys about it because I thought it was really fucking weird, honestly. At least when I woke up today and thought about it, I was like, that's really weird. Last Friday, March 1st, is the day that Akira Toriyama died. Unbeknownst to all of us, they kept it a secret. He was buried. They had his funeral. They've put out the press statements to say, like, don't ask the family for interviews and things like that. Like, it is over. It is done. The dude has been put in the earth, presumably, unless they got him cremated, whatever. My point is, he died last Friday the 1st. Last Thursday night, last Friday morning, I don't know. I guess if it was Thursday night, it would have been Friday morning in Japan, right? I don't know the hour that he died. The point is, last Friday the 1st, I had a terrible motherfucking day. Like, the worst day in a long time. And I was just all set. I had to call out of work. Couldn't do it. I was like ready to quit my job. I was ready to fucking move away to like some place that I could afford, like an apartment for like $1,000 a month, you know? Some fucking hunk. That sounds like a gay thing. Podunk. That's the word. Some podunk ass fucking place. Just get away from everything that I have around me in my life because it's fucking awful right now and I don't like anything. I had one of those days last Friday, right? On the 1st. And a few days before, I was like up talking shit, drinking. I was probably hanging out with Amber or Mike Norm. And I got on eBay and I bought a Super Nintendo game. It is a Super Famicom game. I'm only coming off mic to show it to y'all. It is Dragon Ball Z Hyper Dimension for the Super Famicom. So
that's sick.
When I decided to call out of work on Friday because I had the norovirus and I was vomiting or whatever, shout out to Carlton, my boss, if he ever hears it. Yes, the same Carlton that you know from long-term listeners. They know him. Anyway, called out. I fire that game up. I'm just depressed. I'm just trying to fucking blow off some steam, right? I used to play the shit out of this game on my laptop when I was in the 6th grade. Like all fucking like, let's see. HJKL was like the right side. ASDF was the left side. And I'd fucking do the SNES Super Famicom ROM fucking thing on my laptop. Game does not hold up. Still fun to see it. It's still beautiful for the time period of Super Nintendo. So still a fun game to own. I got bored mad fast. I opened up Dragon Ball Budokai 3 for the remastered version for Xbox 360. And I was like, I'm just going to play this. I just want to go fly around in the Dragon Universe mode. One of the 12 characters they have available for that. Goku, Vegeta, Tien, Yamcha, Broly, 3 different versions of Gohan, Piccolo, Krillin, a bunch of other people. Oob. He's got a fucking story in that bitch, right? I played that game for hours that day. I played Dragon Ball Budokai 3, Dragon Ball, the Dragon Universe. I played that mode for probably 5 hours that day. And I've continued to play that game every day since then for at least a few hours. And I don't know what it is. It's like the only thing that can like alleviate like whatever kind of extra depression issues I'm going through because I got a bunch. And I was just like, just go fly around in the Dragon universe. Look for a fucking Capsule Corp thing. Look for the Dragon Balls. Try to get the breakthrough capsules for your characters so all their moves are unlocked and all that stupid shit. That's what I've been occupying my fucking brain the last 7 days. Playing that game a few hours every single night. I've probably put over 20, 25 hours into that game in the last 7 days. And I've honestly been thinking to myself, I said this in the intro thing too. Should I stream this? Like, I'm playing it. Should I just put it out on, Twitch or YouTube or whatever? Should I be trying to make content out of this? And for whatever reason, I keep coming back to, no, your brain's not in that space right now. Just chill out and enjoy it and like chill and relax and play the game. So that's already been my fucking frame of mind the last few weeks. So you guys fucking text me last night at 11:30. I get the news the dude's dead, and it does not set in until this morning. I'm scrolling. I'm doom scrolling. I think I already said it to you guys before. You probably saw it on social media or whatever, but like I got an email from a new listener who just started listening to our show last week. He's like, hey, man, I grew up with Dragon Ball. I'm in my 30s. I started watching OG Dragon Ball last Monday, so just a few days before Toriyama dying and me going through this fucking depressive, I gotta be in the Dragon universe thing that I've been fucking going through and will probably continue to go through for a while. GB, did you just send me a text message? What does it say?
It was just literally, it was a thing I meant to mention earlier. One of the YouTubers that like really loves Dragon Ball, just throwing it out. He's doing a thing in Xenoverse 2 where he had his whole he told everyone, it's like, hey, if you see this, if you have Xenoverse 2 or whatever, join at like 2 p.m. Let's try to get in the lobby. And basically they're all like all their creative characters were putting their hands up like for Toriyama.
Let me tell you where that dude's ripping that idea off from. Not to be the fucking Dragon Ball cynic that I am, but Dragon Quest, obviously the most recent Dragon Quest game, MMO online, they started showing screenshots of people going to I don't know what the location is of the game. I never played it. I'm not sure what it is, but same idea as everyone's like original characters in the game all went to this one spot specifically to mourn Akira Toriyama. I forgot the whole point I was making. Oh, Mateo sent me an email, and that's when I had permission to grieve this morning, and the fucking waterworks began. He's like, I just found the show last week. I don't really know like you, obviously, but like I've listened to a bunch of your episodes in the last few days, and I know your voice and your passion for it. And you were the first person I thought about when I heard the news. And when I read that, dude, everything before that, I was like, I refuse to process. This isn't real. I knew it was real, but I was like, I don't think it's ready. My emotions are ready to fucking deal with it. And then I read this kid's email out of the fucking true blue. 6.5 years. This kid just found us fucking 2 weeks ago. I read that kid's email and I was like, waterworks, bro. So thanks to him again. I know I shouted him out earlier and I read his email, but dude, tough ass day. Do you guys want to do a thing about the future, or do you just want to leave it at that? What do you think?
I mean, we're really just be like speculating, so I guess we can just talk about it a little bit. But
I don't want to talk about it. You boys can though, and by boys I mean you gentlemen, and by you gentlemen I mean I'm about to walk away. You're hosting Dragon Ball Super Dope right now. I remind you both, this is going out mostly unedited, so don't be dickheads, don't be assholes. Make sure you make it count. You can make jokes at my expense so long as I like them. I know I won't be here to react to them, but tread lightly, and I trust you and I love you, okay?
So when we done, you just want us to leave studio?
Bro, don't even. I haven't hit stop on the recording. It won't upload automatically. My whole day will be fucked. My point is, just run it like your own show for a minute and I'll be back.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Rayshawn, well, just to catch the viewers out, Rayshawn and I talked for earlier. Just a little backstory. He had no idea that was me and that I was. He was like, "Oh, hey," and I was like, "Hey, what's up, Rayshawn?" He's like, "Oh, okay, he knows me." and then he's like, "Let me talk about let me see what he is." And then I was like, "Yeah, you hear about Akira Toriyama?" He's like, okay, so he actually is a viewer. He listens. Okay.
I will break it down from my perspective. So I'm sitting at home, sitting at home, just got off work, get a text message about the One Punch Man trailer. So I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. But then I look at the message and I'm like, who the hell sent me this? Like, I don't know who sent it to me. There's no other messages in there. So I'm thinking to myself. But then I was like, let me call it. Let me just call it and see who it is. Maybe I could just recognize from like the voice or something. And then I go on and he's like, oh, yeah, what's up, Rayshawn? So I'm like, oh, okay. So, yeah, this guy knows who I am. So let me just keep trying to talk and maybe I could get him to kind of say his name. But I was trying to think of how to do it without particularly asking, what is your name? But he was breaking it down. What kind of gave me the clue that I had to know who he was is when he brought up Kyle. And he was like, yeah, tell him I kind of want to be back on the pod and stuff and see what's going on. And I'm like, okay. So like when I got done talking to you, I went to Kyle. I was like, does this number recognize? But then when I sent it to him, I was like, this gotta be GB because it was from California, but it did not click when I was talking to him. And if I could have recorded that conversation, the amount of times I'm just sitting there going out of my way to not refer to this person by name. It's hilarious because I was sitting. I called Kyle afterwards. I was like, "Bruh," no, I text Kyle and I was like, "Bruh, this dude literally called me," and I'm like, "Who the fuck is this?" And then he was like, "Oh yeah, that is GB," and I was like, "What threw me off a little bit is I didn't know you had my number." Like, you know what I mean? So like, I was like, "Oh." Then I'm trying to think like, "Dang, when did I give him my number?" But it's cool. I don't have no problem with like you calling me a text.
Oh yeah, of course.
Off like who the hell was that? Like, Jesus.
Yeah, but definitely just something. We were talking on the phone, and I was telling him, I was just like, personally, in my opinion, I mean, of course, now that Kyle brought up the whole Capsule Corporation business as well, I totally forgot about that. But my 2 cents is, I think, of course, they're gonna, like all work together. Capsule Corporation, Toei. Toei Animation, and also of course Toyotaro is probably going to take some of the reins over, and some other writers, maybe if they want to include other writers and things like that. But they're going to probably Toyotaro is going to probably take it from here and build it up to like, okay, this is where we're going to go, this is how we're going to do. I don't know if they do like a whole like, oh, here's the next 5-year plan or whatever, but I'm thinking personally Toyotaro is going to take it over and try to do the best that he can with it. Of course, Daima's, I guess we could probably say near finish or almost completed. So we don't necessarily know how that's going to all work. But what are your thoughts, Rayshawn?
My thoughts are, man, this is a hard situation to be in. I'm going to just say, I want to kind of go in from the perspective of me, if I was a manga creator and Dragon Ball was my baby, basically. I would not personally want them to continue after what I had gave them to do. Because in my retrospect, Dragon Ball, you can only keep my name on it and long as it's my ideas. Once y'all change from that, y'all can change the title, add a different name to it. This is our version of Dragon Ball version. Because to me, it's like you're kind of like messing with what the creator kind of envisioned for his own project. Because to me, it's like, what if it's those things like he didn't want to do before, but now he's dead. Now they're like, well, we might as well go do it now. To me, that's disrespect. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't have did that when I was alive type shit. So right. I hope there's more Dragon Ball Z stuff coming out. I hope they finish out Super. I don't know if this is gonna like shorten Super now. Maybe it's like, oh, we might not get to go to some universes now. They might finish off maybe this new arc they're doing with Goku and Frieza. This might be the last arc or some shit. To me, that would be sad, but I mean, I would love for them to finish it. I would hate for them to stop. I wanted them to continue Super, which I feel like they still can do because I mean they have a lot of like material that they never animated yet, so that could be still animated. I think the main thing that really hurts is the fact that I'm in that position where I don't know, like, if future movies and stuff come out, should they put Akira Toriyama's name on it? or not. And that's what I've been like debating or not. Because I mean, it's respectful because I mean, it's his Dragon Ball. But if you put a movie out there that's not necessarily a Toriyama feel movie, you know what I mean? Like if they put like just some bullshit Dragon Ball Z movie, it's kind of like, are you besmirching the name? Like, I don't know.
Right.
That just to me just shows you how much I respect the man on the level of like, I would say if you gonna his stuff, it's like it's no point in like even doing it. But that's just
yeah, I definitely, I honestly, I agree with that in some statements because it's like, you know, let's just say they have like super done, like they're like, hey, we could write an ending, call it there, right? And it's like cool. And then if they decide to do anything else, Dragon Ball, that personally, in like my opinion, that would have to be okay. Now it's Toyotaro inspiration from Akira Toriyama. And like go from there because that's something you have to make clear, you know, because, you know, like let's just say they say, oh, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna bring Rads back, and it's like if you don't give a good reason, fan base gonna go crazy, everyone's gonna go crazy, but it's like you now have to tread lightly and be very careful because I mean, again, I don't know how many IPs or whatever you may call that, like just Dragon Ball in general. How many of them have reached like that point where it's like Akira Toriyama's status, right? It's you really have to tread lightly, you have to be careful, and I don't know if they did like, or if Akira Toriyama was like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna write something that confirms this cannot happen, this cannot happen, this cannot happen after or before or whenever, you know, because again, business is very, very difficult and interesting to deal with. So in that, I do agree with you completely. Just to basically sum it up, I do agree with you completely. And I feel like if they do bring the super anime back, I mean, personally, where they left it off, that last episode, I think it was a beautiful ending to me. Because it's like, okay, you know, I didn't even think, like, honestly, I was like, I don't even know if they're going to actually bring it back. And if so, that's okay. You know, as much as that sucks, because it's like, you know, we're all fans. We want more of this thing that we really enjoy, which is Dragon Ball. But at the same time, too, it's like, if they just do movies where it's like, okay, we're just going to put out some movies, I guess, cool. But again, just put Toyotaro inspired by Akira Toriyama.
Yes, because that's the best route to go about it. I heard Kyle say something like his kids or something may jump in and give insight or things. Hopefully that'd be cool, but to me it's still not the person, you know what I mean? It's still like it's always going to be different because it's their interpretation of what they think he meant or what he wanted to do or what he wanted to say. And if you read Dragon Ball, Toriyama is not your normal type of person. Even the things he's literally making humor about and stuff like that is very different. I would be okay with them making movies and stuff because there's a lot of Dragon Ball stuff that I want to see. Like I want to see Goku go face Jiren again. I want to see him go, Vegeta go to the new Saiyan planet and basically interact with Kaba and all of them. But to the point to where, I mean, it's like it could still happen, but to me, it's not happening from the point of view from Toriyama.
From Akira Toriyama, yeah.
It's happening from the different point of views. Unless he's wrote notes. I don't know. I'm not going to say, because the Toriyama that I think of didn't write 5 years worth of notes for Dragon Ball. Like, I just don't think he did.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But maybe he did. Let's go with the exception. Maybe he did write 5 years worth of notes. That would be cool. I would love for that to be the next thing. They already know what's going on, what's happening, and Totoro's not like, shit, well, let's do this, let's do that. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? But I do feel like Totoro now has a little bit more leeway now. He probably doesn't have to get as much approval now. We probably might see a little bit difference in the story a little bit. But who knows? But then see, that's a hard thing to do, especially with Dragon Ball and like its fan base. Because I mean, you do anything that make it like, what the fuck is this? You might have started a riot, like
like I said, like definitely, like they could do something, and it's just like, oh, the whole fan base is like, no, we don't like this, and everything. It's like it's a lot of responsibility and pressure. But
yeah, and then the thing is that I always feel like a Toriyama could do is the fact that I'm the creator. Whatever I want to do, I can fucking do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but now it's like Tatara. Oh, I'm fucking his name up. I think I do it every time.
How are you saying his name is Smooth? It's Toyotaro.
Toyota.
Toyota Taro. Toyotaro.
I just feel like he has more of a leash, but I'm gonna just let him know that if you fuck up, the internet will let you know, and I just hope you're able to handle it, because if not, you might break you down.
All right, that's actually a really. I'm back, by the way. Thanks, you guys. Thank you guys for doing that. I appreciate it. I had to get away from my computer for a minute. It's a very interesting thing that you just said, Rayshawn. Here's the thing, dude. I do want to talk about a couple things. All right, I want to talk about the short term of the manga, and I want to talk about Daima because that's the next project, right? But in terms of what you just said, him catching blame from the internet if things don't go well from here on out, it's a very strong possibility that'll be what happens. However, I will say to you, if that is what happens, that would be misplaced blame. Because what's about to happen, I think, okay, and this is kind of transitioning into the last part of this conversation. In terms of the short term for the manga, month to month, okay, they will likely release a chapter on the 20th, no problem, if they want to. They could probably release one. That said, if they decide not to release one because this dude just died, that wouldn't shock me either, okay? Go one way or the other. This March chapter, though, I believe it is done. I bet in terms of a future outline or whatever, because we talked about it on the phone today, Rayshawn, earlier this afternoon. In terms of what Toriyama does for them now, because he's just kind of an overseer and just kind of like gives the big grand plot points of like, this is where I kind of expect the plot to go. Toyotaro, I'm here to give you like suggestions on your art or whatever, punch it up, make it a little bit better. That's pretty much been his role, like big picture stuff. Hey, this is where you can improve your art a little bit. So for him to have been in that sort of role, I imagine that, I guess Bird Studio, that's the manga company that puts out the chapters each month. That's Toriyama Studio. I imagine they have some kind of outline over the next few months as to where this story is supposed to go with the manga each month. I could see them doing one of two things. I could see them releasing a chapter this month on through April and May, taking the summer off to kind of recalibrate and figure out what the fuck they're going to do, because now they're out of Toriyama notes. I imagine it'll be a situation like that. But that said, I mean, I could just as easily see the other side of them saying Toriyama just died. There will be no March chapter, and maybe we'll be back in the summer. Like, I could see that just as easily. So I don't know, man. This is a weird time. This is a very weird time. And like, I hope he doesn't accept the brunt of the failure should things not go well, because this is about to become a Toei, Bandai, Namco, Bird Studio, like all the fucking conglomerate that represents Dragon Ball. That's about to that is about to be who pushes the story. And Toritaro is going to have to animate it to some level in the manga, and we'll see what other kind of mediums they have going on. I hope he doesn't catch the blame, because he's about to become a corporate man. He's about to become a company man. There's no longer the original creator to kind of like oversee what he's doing. And it's going to be like, hey, we have all these fucking big ass corporate ideas to grow the brand. Let's fucking make the manga about this now. All right. On the other side of all of that, imagine if Toritaro is given the freedom to do what he wants to do. Imagine if that dude, the guy who was like responsible for contributing so many chapters to Dragon Ball AF back in the early 2000s, like one of the first real fan mangas that like caught traction on the internet, like way before fucking YouTube. Imagine he was given free reign and he could make some new stories and he doesn't have to wait for Toriyama. Imagine if he's just made the guy now. That could be a very exciting or a very fucking frightening thing for the future of the franchise.
It would. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I've talked a lot. There's just so much to consider. You know what I mean? What do you mean about what do you think about all the shit I just said?
No, I was gonna say it will work if they say we're moving past the end of Z. So now all the stories will be after end of Z. So it'll be low key.
Oh, yeah.
He's not touching anything Toriyama's already done. Everything he'll be touching is afterwards. So it would be low key his own type of story afterwards. Which I would be okay with that. I wouldn't have no problem with that because
we're very close to that point in time in the story right now. It would make sense to get to that after whatever the heck they're going through in terms of training. It would make sense. Yo, imagine fan theory shit, right? You get like them all training on Whis' planet and like Beast Gohan and fucking Ultra Instinct Goku, Ultra Ego Vegeta. Maybe Piccolo shows up. They'll do their sparring matches for a couple of fucking episodes, monthly chapters. And then it's like, all right, boys, we've all really trained up and we're ready to fight Black Frieza. But you know what? In the meantime, just so happens that the 28th Tenkaichi Budokai is going on Earth. Let's go fucking hang out at the Budokai and meet Oob and fucking do our fucking thing.
Yes.
It'd be so cool to do something like that. I don't know if they're brave enough to do something like that. I do worry that they'll treat Toriyama's word or like previous wishes with too much reverence. And by that, I mean, imagine a fucking world where it's the complete opposite of what you just said, Rayshawn, where they're like, yeah, we can't go beyond the end of Z actually, because that would be out of Toriyama's wishes. So we're just going to continue to have a billion fucking one different arcs where it's like over the course of 6 hours, Goku and Vegeta fucking achieves 3 new forms because they fought the most powerful diabolical villain in existence, and they're still not ready to go meet Oob at the Tenkaichi Budokai. Could you imagine that?
I mean, or it's too much. They need to go ahead and just let the man do it, especially if they're gonna give him free reign. And yeah. I would love that. If I was Totoro, I would be like, I love this way more than you want me to fit in some more arcs.
Totoro. My neighbor Totoro.
My neighbor Totoro.
Every episode. Actually, y'all might as well make it a drinking game now. Every time we bring that person up.
My neighbor Totoro. That's the joke I've been searching for the last year. Oh man, good call.
Something I did want to say, piggybacking off of your idea, Kyle, like where they're saying like, oh, we can go beyond that ending, you know?
Yeah.
Something that would be absolutely nice. Again, just so I can get your confirmation, Kyle, because again, I don't know about most of the technical aspects of it.
I might. I don't know. I'm kind of dumb, but yeah.
Akira Toriyama didn't actually write GT. Right?
No, he did not. Toei Animation did. He gave a lot of like character sketches and character designs early on in the process. He like designed some of the worlds they were going to visit and things like that. Honestly, GT designs from Toriyama, some of that art is some of my most favorite Dragon Ball art of all fucking time. It has been like the background of my computers for literally years, probably decades.
It's like the styles and designs were beautiful. Of course, we can all agree that the story, but
hey, get ready, man. I'm doing a GT rewatch on this podcast feed very soon.
I would be down.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be doing them on Sundays. So get ready. I'm going to pull you in for some.
Oh, definitely. But imagine if Toyotaro, God, I was going to mess it up again. My neighbor
Totoro.
Imagine if Toyotaro was like Toei and everyone's in agreement. They're like, we're going to redo GT, but we're going to do it our own way, and we're going to keep some of the same designs and everything, but we're going to move on with it. Like that would be pretty cool too if Toyotaro and the company was like, yeah, let's do it. Like nothing can really
what you just
them.
Suggested is a much stronger possibility today than it was a month ago.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
I got a question for you, GB. Well, are you saying like remake GT or do like what they did with Kai?
Tie
So
it all
it's
in.
Like tie it all in, but in an instance where it's like, so it's like a similar GT storyline, right? Where it's like basically a lot of the same things still happen, but like Sims, like let's just say okay,
but you basically like cut out
that,
all
like,
the bull crap.
Goku turns to a kid, you
Baby
know,
art.
they do happen to get they get Super Saiyan 4. They have to kill Piccolo, like things like that, right? Like to actually align it a certain way.
Okay, I see what you're
But
saying.
like have those beats, right? Like I'll call them story beats, have those story beats happen, but then like change it up and be like, okay, but we're gonna make it a little bit different so it lasts longer or it has more sense in storyline or something like that, right? That is definitely a higher possibility now.
Yeah, I would just like for them to just, you got the super stuff there. So that's most of the stuff tutorial. The man has already been done. So I feel like
the man is Toriyama. We are grieving him, literally grieving him today. Toyo.
Toyo, he drew it. He knew what's going on.
Hey, honestly, if you could just call him Toyo for short, that'd be fine with me. But
I'm gonna say the man.
Repeat after me, man. Toyo.
Taro. I'm gonna get it when you get it and say it like that.
Bro, you've been saying Taro for a year and a fucking half now.
But no, I'm saying if you break it down and be like, say Toyo and Taro, yeah, I'm gonna say it good like that.
Taro.
But if I'm talking just regular in conversation, I'm probably gonna fuck the name up. I don't normally say that name. I don't even know I got words in my vocabulary that even sound the same.
But I've been correcting you for a year and a half. Listen,
I'm gonna be honest. He doesn't get the same respect as Toriyama and the name recognition.
And he shouldn't.
Hopefully he's gonna build himself up there. You know, Kishimoto. That name took a while for me to remember off the top of my, like off the boat. It's gonna take the time. You gotta make an impression on me for me to remember your name right. At least I know part of it. At least I know who I'm saying.
Totaro.
At least I'm not throwing out a name and y'all like, who the fuck is that? Like,
you're right. So I think you guys just kind of threw it out to some interesting places as to where we could expect to go. I just want to get this out on the record, mostly for the. I mean, I could see it being very realistic, but also I could just be fucking fantasizing. They're probably going to put out a chapter this month. They're going to put out a chapter in April. They might put out a chapter in May. They'll probably take a few months off, though, this year, just to kind of recalibrate when they reach the end of Toriyama's notes or whatever. And you know what? His notes could be so broad. You don't know. I don't know how the notes could be, but they could be so broad that it's like, and then they train, and then do this, and then they do this, and then they fight Black Frieza. And that could be 6 months worth of content. Who fucking knows? My point is, I expect them to take a break at a certain point this year for the manga, understandably so. But let's talk about the fucking elephant in the room, Dragon Ball Daima. Dragon Ball Daima is meant to be the 40th anniversary celebration of Dragon Ball as a franchise, and he has been directly involved in writing the entire story. I don't know if he's writing the scripts or whatever. I would doubt that, but probably the story, the whole entire premise from start to finish. That is very much going to be definitively like the last Dragon Ball thing that he is involved in. And that's weird, but I do think that it will bring a sort of like reverence and sentimentality to us watching them as a fan base in the last season of the year. Again, October of 24 is when that will start. It's going to be weird it's going to be no, it's not.
Really?
Nope.
I think that's like a hard date.
And I'll tell you why I'll tell you why it's a hard date, and I'll tell you why it's not going to get pushed back. It's not going to get pushed back because, one, it is meant to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball. If they push it back, they will now be celebrating the 41st anniversary of Dragon Ball. Okay, so I promise you that they will not be pushing it back. OG Dragon Ball anime came out in February of 86.
On the 26th.
Oh, wait, February 26th. That's right. Rayshawn's birthday of 84. And that's what they're commemorating is the 40-year anniversary of the manga coming out. So I promise you they won't push it out, because if they do push it out, it'll be until the next television season in Japan, and that will be January of 25. They won't push it out. And they've worked so much on it. The fact that we've gotten as much teaser as we have, and they keep teasing the fact that he's written so much of the story or whatever, and trust me, it will be fucking marketed and hyped up and trumped up, because it'll be the last thing that Toriyama worked on. Even though in reality, and I made this joke in the early 25-minute intro where I fucking cried and read fucking quotes and shit. I was like, here's my last 3 favorite Toriyama jokes. One, that he took the entirety of 2023 off to retell us the superhero movie in the manga. Number 2, that he decided he would work on the Sandland manga and video game at the same time, and that's what we're going to get in 2024. And number 3, that he was 1 month shy of turning 69 years old. Of course he was. Those are my last 3 favorite Toriyama gags. All that you guys aren't laughing enough, but that's fine. I appreciate them. Fuck you all. But
I thought they were like just statements. My fault.
69? Come on. 69's funny, man.
Whoa. Okay.
And that's why Rayshawn is one of my best friends in the fucking world. And it's all because of Akira Toriyama. Daima's gonna be a big grandstand tribute thing. Mark my words, it's gonna be a big celebration of his life. Understandably, rightfully fucking so. And I'm gonna be there for every second of it, but my more urgent, pressing question is what happens to the manga in the short term. If they have to take a couple of months, a 3-month break, don't let that shock you at all. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I want to leave the episode. Do you guys have any parting thoughts that you want to share before I read the last thing?
I'm gonna say last thing. One of these chapters, we know, I don't know if it's gonna be the whole chapter, but it's gonna be the least the last pages of it. We're gonna get us a RIP Akira Toriyama. I'm pretty sure.
I think we might get that as soon as this month.
Yeah, they're gonna have to make it knowledgeable in the manga what happened, basically.
I fucking hope so. GB, you got anything?
I just want to say thank you so much, Akira Toriyama. You will forever be missed, and we will always be Dragon Ball Super dope.
Yeah, I had to cross something off my bucket list, and it's not even like because I did it. It's because I don't have the opportunity to do it no more. So it's like, damn.
Yeah, one time we did a advice pod segment where we were like, if you could do anything in the world, what would you do? And Rayshawn was like, I just want to meet Akira Toriyama. And we're like, oh, that's cool. Are you going to learn Japanese before you do it? And he's just like, nah, he can just call me on the phone. And we're like, what? He's like, yeah. I'm like, how would you know it was him? He's like, I probably wouldn't.
I'll give you props, Kyle, for remembering that.
I think about it all the time. It just went out the other day on the YouTube as well within the last few weeks. I do just want to read this quote one more time. I read it in the intro, and we all talked about it at the beginning of the show. It is from Masashi Kishimoto, the mangaka of Naruto. And I want to read it again because I've read a million tributes about Akira Toriyama today. And so many of them are like heartfelt and deep and like, wow, this person like really had a connection to that person. And I had a really tough time doing that intro and like coming up with my own words. Straight up, I would have cried a bunch. It would have been fucking awful. Nobody wants to hear that. So I read a bunch of quotes. And when I read the Kishimoto quote, I was like, this is the closest quote that I've read today that relates to how I feel, even though I am in no way the fucking creator of Naruto.
Yeah, I'm glad you had that in there, creator of Naruto.
I am not that fucking guy. But the way that he explains his relationship with Dragon Ball at certain points in this passage legitimately like fucking choked me up. So I want to read it again to round up the episode. Before I do, in case you guys want to tag out in terms of listeners, please like the video, whatever, subscribe to the podcast. I don't really care. This is for me. It's not for you today. I hope you got something out of it. And I hope
you
Rayshawn
enjoyed.
and GB did too. It was nice to fucking get together with my friends and like warn about a thing that, because like I shared about it on my Facebook and my Instagram this morning, my own personal shit. So like my family and shit has seen me crying all day about this fucking 70-year-old Japanese dude on social media all day, and they're like, "Hey, how's it going? How you doing?" And I'm like, "It's fine. I'm having a bad day at work. I don't want to cry about a Japanese guy that's been making my favorite cartoon since I was 6, but I kind of do though." But reading this quote today, it was the closest thing that I read that kind of made me say, like, you're not alone in how you felt. I can't say I've made anything as fucking comparable as Naruto, nor will I ever. But to want to make something because of the dude is, I think, really what I connected to in this thing. So I just wanted to read it one more time before the show's over. This is from Mr. Masashi Kishimoto. It's long, so I apologize to you guys before we wrap it up. It's not cool for me to do this long thing at the end, but he says, honestly, I don't know what to write or how to write about something so sudden. However, for now, I would like to express my thoughts and feelings to Toriyama Sensei, something I wish he would have asked me someday. I grew up with Dr. Slump in the lower grades of elementary school and Dragon Ball in the upper grades, and it was natural for me to have his manga next to me as part of my life. Even if I had a bad experience, watching Dragon Ball every week made me forget about it. It was a relief for me, a country boy who had nothing. That's the line that fucked me up really bad earlier. Because Dragon Ball was really fun. It was when I was a university student. Suddenly, the Dragon Ball that had been part of my life for so many years ended. I felt an incredible sense of loss and didn't know what to look forward to. But at the same time, it was also an opportunity for me to truly understand the greatness of the teacher who created Dragon Ball. I also want to create work like yours. I also want to be like my teacher. As I followed in my teacher's footsteps and aspired to become a manga artist, that feeling of loss began to disappear because making comics was fun. I was able to find new fun by following my teacher. My teacher has always been my guide. I admired it. I apologize for the inconvenience, but I would like to express my gratitude to the teacher. For me, he was the god of salvation and the god of manga. When we met for the first time, I was so nervous that I couldn't say a word. However, after meeting him many times at the Tezuka Pride screening committee, we became able to talk. As Dragon Ball children, I and Mr. Ichiro Oda, the author, mangaka of One Piece, we went back to being children again. And when we talked excitedly about how much Dragon Ball was fun, as if we were competing with each other, I forgot how he looked a little embarrassed and smiled at me. I can't. And I said this in the intro thing. It's translated from Japanese to English, so it's not a very clean translation. But what I take away from that paragraph is him and Ichiro Oda one day got to meet Akira Toriyama, and they were like, I love Dragon Ball this much. No, I love Dragon Ball this much. And Ichiro Oda did not win that day and came away slightly embarrassed. So moving on, I have just received the news of the death of my teacher. I feel an even greater sense of loss than when Dragon Ball ended. I still don't know how to deal with this hole in my heart. Now I can't even read my favorite Dragon Ball. I don't feel like I've been able to properly write this sentence that I want to convey to my teacher. Everyone around the world was still looking forward to seeing your work. If Dragon Ball's one wish really comes true, ... I'm sorry. Maybe that's selfish, but it's bad, Sensei. Thank you, Akira Toriyama Sensei, for all of your enjoyable work over the last 45 years, and thank you very much for your hard work. We are sure that the remaining family members are still deeply hurt. Please take care of yourself. I pray that Mr. Akira Toriyama rests in peace.
R.I.P.
So again, that's from Mishimoto, the mangaka author of Naruto, who obviously would not have ever been inspired to be what he is. And neither would any of us. Any of us, so many of us, millions of people in the fucking world would not be inspired what they do, whether it's a stupid podcaster, whether it's a fucking successful mangaka, whether it's some fucking jackoff who decided that he saw Super Saiyan Goku freak out on Namek and he wanted to get super ripped and become a fucking Instagram fitness influencer, whether it's some cosplay girl who dressed up as Bulma for fucking years and managed to catch a following, whether it's some motherfucking person who wrote a book called The Tao of Dragon Ball and talked about the philosophy of Dragon Ball over the course of 7 fucking books. Dragon Ball has given so much to so many fucking people, myself included. I'd like to think ourselves included. And it just sucks that like the dude who, and don't get me wrong, it's not going away. I don't think it's going away at all. They're going to continue to fucking operate the corporate skeleton of Dragon Ball for as long as it is profitable. But there is a sense of finality with the news that we took in today, and everyone should be sad because we lost the heart, man. We lost the heart. As much as Akira Toriyama does not like Dragon Ball fans sometimes, and I've talked about it a billion times over the years, go listen to back episodes of the podcast. Dude loves to troll us and be a fucking jokester. This was the ultimate joke he fucking pulled off. He was like, hey, I'm going to take a year off to make a Sandland manga. I'm going to take 3 months to give you some really cool shit that you're going to get excited about. Then I'm going to die. And then when you do the math, you're going to realize that I died 1 month short of becoming 69 years old. That is the level of troll that Akira Toriyama has achieved in his fucking life. I'm forever grateful. And that's it for me. What, you guys have anything else before we wrap?
No, not really. I think I didn't get all mine. All mine's out.
I'm going to go get really drunk with Vapor Mike Norm because he knows how upset I am. He sent me a TikTok message at 7 o'clock in the morning, which is very nice because me and Mike have not been nice to each other the last few months. So the fact that he knows how upset I am was kind of, it was nice to have a friend back for a second, but it's also been very nice to have you guys to talk to you for the last couple hours. I love you both so much. Thank you. And we'll see y'all next time on Super Dope. I'm going to try to sing an outro now, live on the spot. Let's see how it goes. Oh, shit, it's going to go fine. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Toriyama, that MF is dead.
The GOAT is gone.
Did it! That MF is dead.
I thought you were going to say, like, almost 69.
Almost 69. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Toriyama, almost 69. April 5th would have been his 69th birthday. April 5th. See y'all next time. If you guys ever heard this, back when Dragon Ball Super first got announced to be canceled in March 30th of 2018, I made this song, cover of the first opening song, and I ranted a bunch over it about how upset I was. So here's just the acoustic version. I hope it gives you some solace or whatever. I don't know. Talk to you soon. Super dope.